I like the dog. It's friendly.
So I think this is the best costume for the day.
Okay.
And after you kissed me, I always used to wipe my mouth. Wipe my mouth!
I'm not going to be ignored, Dan.
Hello and welcome back to my channel Box Office Poison. If you're new here, my name is Moxie McMurder, and I can't believe that in my 40 years on this earth, no one told me about this film. How did this pass me by? It's Debbie Reynolds and Shelley Winters in a 70s repressed lesbian slasher. I've wasted my life.
Would that this hoodie were a time hoodie.
So let's talk about What's the Matter with Helen. But before we get into the film itself, we first have to take a look at Hagsploitation and Hollywood's obsession with demonizing aging women, because we're not allowed to age. That would be unacceptable.
Come on, I mean, youth and beauty, man. I mean, that's the ticket.
Hagsploitation, psycho-biddy, or grande dame guignol is a subgenre of horror and thriller that characteristically has a formerly glamorous older actress playing an insane woman who terrorizes those around her. Examples include Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, Straight Jacket, Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, Whoever Slew Auntie Roo, and so on. These films capitalise on Hollywood's dismissal of women of a certain age, no longer attractive and therefore less worthy of our attention. However, this led to an unexpected subgenre that still has a cult following to this day. I find Hollywood's treatment of older women to be quite fascinating. Hollywood starts to shun women from the time they turn 25, but in a strange twist of fate, I find that roles for older women, as few as they are much more interesting and multidimensional than a lot of the characters I see younger actors playing. Anyway, the unexpected success of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane meant that studios were desperate for their own version of Baby Jane. Directed by Curtis Harrington, who is considered one of the forerunners of new queer cinema, What's the Matter with Helen is a hidden gem that I think more people should be aware of. This is of course a perfect opportunity to talk about the absolute delight that is Debbie Reynolds and the sensitive but feisty Shelley Winters. Both were screen icons in the 50s and both were products of the industry. Debbie was signed to Warner Brothers early in her career and later moved to MGM. Shelley was signed to Columbia and worked in film and theatre, studying her craft at the Actors Studio. These ladies had such a fun friendship off screen, and both women represented something. Debbie was always the studio girl, polite, well-mannered, but had a really wacky sense of humour, which I think helped to endear her to people. Shelley was not like Debbie. She had a habit of interrupting interviewers talking to guests, she had opinions and wasn't afraid to share them. Together, they were a force of nature, as this interview shows.
On their own.
But it's the fame that's the trap.
Oh, I think for a woman in our business, I don't know how Shelley handles it. Well, I've just heard how she handles it, but I still think it's hard for Shelley, too. I think that a woman in the business that has a name, men meet you, and it's not...
They don't see you, they see your name.
The name, and it's not really your heart, your hand, your moment. It's the name, and hey, you know who I was with last night, you know what we did. Well, I couldn't handle that in my mind.
It's worth pointing out that Debbie Reynolds was only 39 when this film was released, and Shelley Winters was 51. That means I am older than Debbie Reynolds was in this film. That's something.
Oh, I'm like the Crypt Keeper!
Wow. My point is that Debbie was young. Her TV show, The Debbie Reynolds Show, was cancelled after only one season. Shelley had been doing a lot of theatre work, but her status as a film star had waned considerably, and despite winning her second Oscar just 6 years earlier, the roles she was being recognised for were more from plays and not movies. According to Debbie Reynolds, Shelley Winters' psychiatrist advised her not to portray a woman having a nervous breakdown, because at the time, she was having a real-life nervous breakdown. Debbie said, "She's the kind of actress who becomes the part she's playing. So all through the film, she drove all of us insane. In What's the Matter with Helen, Adele and Helen are both widows and are the mothers of sons who have just been sentenced for murder. It's all very Leopold and Loeb. After someone cuts Helen's hand as she's leaving the trial, they start receiving threatening phone calls.
I thought you'd like to know I'm the one who cut you today.
Why?
I wanted to see you bleed.
Adele decides to change her name and move to California to teach dance to Hollywood brats, and invites Helen to go with her. They arrive in Hollywood and have a successful dance studio, living together above the studio. Debbie Reynolds is a delight, as always, to watch. Her dancing and Jean Harlow looks are spot on, and she shines with hope when she meets her new beau. But Helen is cautious and unsure. Her trauma and paranoia are fueled by her religion, and on top of all this, there's the unspoken suggestion that Helen is gay and is repressing her emotions concerning Adele. She has a Mrs. Danvers quality to her as she lightly touches Adele's possessions. Director Curtis Harrington referred to Helen as a latent lesbian during an interview after the film's release, and Winters later confirmed that the producers and head of studios didn't want her to be too direct with the lesbianism, but she did her best to make it as obvious as she could without flagging it for the suits. According to Winters, they intended to make the lesbianism more overt, and the script included a kiss between Helen and Adele, but it was taken out when the producers raised concerns. It was unusual in that era for an actor to willingly take on a gay role, for fear it would ruin their career, but the outspoken Winters, who was never one to shy away from a complicated character, really captures something quite special in this role. We're also introduced to the eccentric Hamilton star, deliciously played by Michael McLemore, himself an openly gay actor in this his last film role. He's a Hollywood elocution teacher, and Helen is highly suspicious of him and his motives. It's interesting that this character is also coded as gay, but in a much more overt way than Helen. Helen receives a letter from someone addressed to her old name, and her paranoia at being discovered starts to simmer and slowly rises to a boil. Adele is off dating a rich man and living her life, while Helen stays at home listening to Sister Alma on the radio, a somewhat fire and brimstone preacher. I love that we actually get to see Sister Alma, and that she's played by Agnes Moorehead. Helen visits her looking for absolution, only to be turned away.
You told me to come to you on the radio. You told me I would find joy in heaven. Well, if I have his forgiveness, why don't I feel that joy? Why?
I offered you my blessing, but you refused it. Now move along.
Adele is concerned with Helen's behaviour, and after some initial frustration, tries her best to help Helen overcome her guilt. But Adele doesn't know the full story. I don't want to spoil anything for those of you who haven't seen this film, despite the fact the poster outright ruins the ending. But it's absolutely worth a watch. I'm still amazed that this film somehow got past me. It's exactly the sort of movie I love. The sly commentary on stage mums and over-sexualizing children performers, the LGBTQ plus subtext, and it's just a great example of a Hagsploitation, proto-slasher horror that I think really deserves more attention. If you like Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, you're going to love this. So go check it out and let me know what you think in the comments. If you've made it to the end of this video, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and let me know if you've seen this film and what you thought of it. I've yet to meet anybody else who's seen this film. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit that like button and please consider becoming a subscriber. If you really liked this video, you can help support my channel by buying me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description. Have a great day, stay spooky.
We're all busy little bees, full of stings, making honey day and night. Aren't we, honey?
I will go insane, and I will take you with me! This is your life! Right here, right now!